CU Sports Mag, the Buffs tried to snap their 18-game road losing streak at the Horseshoe.
And the Lady Buffs take on Oregon, the 15th ranked team in the country.
And the men's golf team played in 2 tournaments this past week, and we'll let you know how they did on Sports Mag right now. Welcome to CU Sports Mag. I'm David LaRose, sitting alongside Andrew Tomasini. And the Buffs went to Ohio State looking to snap their horrid road game losing streak.
Yeah, 18 games in a row going into Columbus. The Buffs had to get a win. Let's see what happened in the highlights. All right, well, we'll get to the highlights very shortly now. Obviously, heading into this one, it was an 18-game road losing streak. But here are the highlights right now. We finally got them for you. So it's a rare trip out to Columbus for the Buffs. Here's the big house. This is also the opening kickoff here, and that is Jordan Hall as he returns it all the way deep into the CU territory. But thankfully for the Buffs, there was a holding penalty. It would negate it, but it didn't matter. Jordan Hall gets redemption here. A 3-minute, 53-second drive, 7-0 OSU. Freshman quarterback Braxton Miller got his first start Saturday, but you surely couldn't tell. Look at this pitch and catch here with Devin Smith on the skinny post. 32 yards for the touchdown, 17-0 Buckeyes. Tyler Hansen trying to get something going here on 2nd and 4. He hits Paul Richardson. He crosses over the midfield line, That's the first down marker, and he gets all the way to the Ohio State 38. 2nd and 4 for the Buffs, same drive, 3rd and 6. Just under 7 minutes to go as Tyler Hansen scrambles. He's flushed out of the pocket. A 10-yard gain there to the OSU 44. Now it's 1st and 10. Play action for Hansen, looking for his tight end over the middle, and he got him. That's Ryan Dehan there. Monster paws, pulls down that one, and the Buckeyes try to set up shop here on the defensive end. The Buffs have it at the 20-yard line.
The Buffs showing a little fight, cap off a long 10-play, 83-yard drive by going forward on 4th and 1, and on a desperation toss to the end zone, Hansen finds Tony Clemens for the first points of the day for CU. Right before the half, CU forces the Buckeyes to punt, but Rodney Stewart gets knocked off balance by his own player, causing him to muff the punt, which Ohio State then recovers on the 10-yard line, leading to a field goal. Ohio State up 28-7 at halftime. The Buckeyes waste no time adding to the scoreboard as they get into the end zone on their first possession of the second half, a 17-yard pass from freshman Braxton Miller to Devin Smith. Through 3 quarters, Miller had 3 completions, 2 which were touchdowns to Smith. The freshman, although he's not a polished passer, he was effective enough to keep CU honest. Hansen formed a nice connection with Ryan Dehan, hooking up 3 times for 71 yards, but CU was never able to establish much of a run game, causing them to become a one-dimensional offense. However, story of the game was CU's not-so-special special teams play, as they gave up 2 long kickoff returns, including this 95-yarder that pretty much put the game out of reach, as Ohio State wins, going away 37-17. Tyler Hansen was effective, 22 of 39, 238 yards, 2 touchdowns. Rodney Stewart didn't have that great of a day rushing the ball. Miller, in his first start, played well. And now we're going to go to a press conference from head coach John Embry from this past week.
And really, we're at a state right now in our program where we have to be more concerned about the things we can control. And so that's what I'm really trying to work on, is really getting our mindset and getting our guys to really see what they're capable of being. I told the team yesterday, it'd be a shame for you seniors to be sitting around 4 or 5 years from now, sit there thinking, woulda, shoulda, coulda. The moment is now. The time is now. And I understand, we're building a program and all that, but I want to win now. I want this team to win now. I want these guys to experience it. I'm not about forsaking this year for the future. Well, this is a big game for both programs. I talked to our players about it. First, obviously, playing the first Pac-12 game in the school's history. And, again, with our issues on the road, if we're going to have any chance of accomplishing anything, you got to win at home.
The only Pac-12 team in action last week as conference play opened up, and there were a lot of pretty good games out there.
That's right, and we're going to start off with UCLA visiting Oregon State. Let's roll those highlights. The Beavers come in winless on the season, but they gave the Bruins a run for their money. With time expiring, Jordan Bishop takes in the pass and shows extraordinary effort, stretching for the goal line there to make it 20-19. Oregon State missed the 2-point conversion, but it didn't matter as UCLA's Anthony Barr capped off a 9-play, 65-yard drive with a touchdown punching it in from the 1-yard line. UCLA wins 27-19. Now let's shift gears to the other team in Oregon. The number 10 Ducks took on Arizona. Heisman candidate LaMichael James was the roadrunner to Arizona's Wild E. Coyote, rushing for a school record 288 yards and 2 scores in the Arizona desert. The Ducks win easily 56-31.
So how about we check out the highlights from Washington as Keenan Allen had a monster first half as Cal traveled up to UW 21-13 to the score. Now handoff to CJ Anderson. That's a 1-yard score. 21-20 UW at the half. 3rd and 12 now. 12.5 to play. Keith Price drops back, getting great protection. Connects with Chris Polk. Linebacker DJ Holt loves the taste of burnt rubber as 12 is just smoking him down the sidelines. He scores 70-yard touchdown. Washington would take this lead and never look back. Chris Polk had himself a day. 4 receptions, 80 yards, 20 carries for 60 yards, 2 total touchdowns as Washington will pack up and head to Utah on Saturday. Final score 31-20 Huskies. Let's head to Tempe now as we see Brock Osweiler hitting this one outside to Jarrell Robertson. The cornerback had no shot on that one. 13-3 is the score now. And yet again, another red zone possession for ASU. Jamal Miles gets a 3-yard score. SC just gets smoked. 43-22 is the fun. So, we return to our 11-part Pac-12 series here about Colorado's newly formed opponents in the Pac-12, and as the Buffs welcome Washington State to Folsom Field this Saturday, we'll do the same with our intro. Dave LaRose here will break down the Cougars from Wazoo.
Washington State Cougars are in a similar situation as CU, but 3 years ahead. Head coach Paul Wolf, like John Embry, is a former alumni himself and was hired to bring a renewed passion back to the program.
Oh, Coach Wolf brings a lot of things to the program. You know, he's a real steady, consistent coach. You know, you always know what to expect out of Coach Wolf. Intense guy, you know, players coach, and so he just kind of keeps everything on an even keel and does a real good job of managing everything.
Also similar to John Embry, Wolf hired some former Cougars to help turn around the program.
Steve Morton in the offensive line, a former Coug, former coach there, has coached all over the country. He's one of the best offensive line coaches in the country.
Behind the offensive line, the Cougars also have a very good quarterback in Marshall Lobostel, who has directed the offense to the 4th best passing attack in the country. Lobostel's main target is Marquise Wilson, who has 4 touchdown catches on the season.
Into Aztec territory, Marquise Wilson, touchdown Cougars!
John Embry is working towards bringing Colorado back to national prominence, and we will see which team is much further along in their mission this Saturday as the Cougars invade Folsom Field. David LaRose, CU Sports Mag. CU running back Brian Lockridge is used to receiving blows from defenders, but this weekend he'll be dishing them out himself. Due to a large number of injuries to the Buffalo secondary, Lockridge has been practicing with the cornerbacks this week. The Buffs have the number 1 pass defense in the Pac-12, allowing 190 yards a game, but CU will still need Lockridge to contribute this weekend. Washington State comes in with the 4th best passing attack in the country, averaging over 390 yards a game. Lockridge has never played defense, but he will be adding much-needed athleticism and depth to the position. The senior is glad to be getting on the field after falling to 3rd on the running back depth chart.
Well, the men's golf team has gotten off to a quick start in 2011, and they're getting recognized nationally over the past 3 years. For the first time in 3 years. What am I talking about?
And the volleyball team is back on the court against another ranked Pac-12 opponent. Can the injury-ridden Buffs team slow down the number 15 team in the nation?
Yeah, how dope was that party last night, man?
What happened?
Yeah, no. Wait, I can't really. You're breaking up. Yeah, no, and then he shoved me, and I was like, that's not cool. And so I just rocked him, and it was tight.
It was a total dime piece, man. Took her back to my place, had a few drinks, you know what I mean.
And after all of that, she told me she had a kid, and I'm not trying to be any part of that right there. You know what I mean? It was a crazy.
Run into trouble again.
Hey, Bobo, where's your video game? In here. Oh, look at this. Uh-oh, it's my dad's. You want to hold it? What'll I do?
If you get my new comic activity book, More Adventures with Scruff, you'll find out what you can do about bullies and guns. And you'll see lots of games.
Cool.
For your free copy of my new comic activity book, just write Scruff McGruff, Chicago, Illinois, 60652, and help take a bite out of crime.
I want it, I want it.
You know trouble can start when the clock hits 3.
When there's no place after school for kids to be.
Nothing to do but hanging on city streets.
When mom and dad are working to make ends meet. Now it's time to beat the street.
With after-school programs, city kids aren't left alone and vulnerable. They keep on learning between 3 and 6, but these programs need your support. Join with the Urban League to keep them going. Call now, because it's
time to beat the street.
The men's golf team broke the top 25 in the national rankings for the first time in 3 years this past week. This is the first time the team is rated high enough to rank in the coaches' poll, making a cameo in the 24th spot. The Buffs are in good company, joining 6 other Pac-12 teams on the list. The team really came out swinging this year, winning their first tournament and losing in a playoff in their second. They nearly made school history by winning their first 2 tournaments but fell short in Colorado Springs. Even though they lost to CSU in the Colorado Cup, opposing coaches are starting to take notice of the Buffs.
After getting swept out of the Bay Area by the number 1 and number 2 team in the nation, the volleyball team returned home to Boulder. They looked to rebound from the tough weekend against an Oregon team that started out the season unranked. Seniors Lydia Blaha and Annika Santos tried to keep the Buffs in the game early, but the number 15 team in the nation gave Colorado all they could handle. The Ducks took the first and second set by a score of 25-13. Oregon wasted no time in the third set as well and finished off the Buffs, which moves them to 0-4 in the Pac-12. A quick turnaround faced the Buffs against another team from Oregon in OSU. The CU volleyball team continues to struggle in the Pac-12. They now stand at 0-5 in conference play. The Buffs lost to Oregon State in 3 straight sets and managed only 26 kills as a team. Injuries at the setter position were a major story in the game. Colorado was already without Alyssa Valentine and lost Aaron Stock in the first set. Michelle Miller then took over and recorded 18 assists. The Buffs fell to a 5-8 record overall. They look for another first Pac-12 win this weekend at home. They will play 5th-ranked USC on Friday and 2nd-ranked UCLA on Saturday.
Audie Streetman and Derek Kessinger are at the double team set to talk about the football game from this past weekend at Ohio State.
Should be interesting. Take it away, guys.
Hello and welcome to this week's Double Team. I'm Audie Streetman sitting alongside Derek Kessinger, and we have quite a bit of football to discuss this week. Last weekend, CU squared up against Ohio State, losing 37-17, which marks the 19th straight game that CU has lost on the road, which is pretty disappointing given our season so far. But Ohio, they made a pretty swift comeback, especially after their last loss to Miami, 24-6, which was really discouraging for them. Their freshman quarterback Braxton Miller, he didn't start off too well in the last game. He didn't make a pass until the Buckeyes' 4th drive, and the Buffs, they didn't rise to the occasion either.
Well, that was really the story of the game. The offense and the special teams really killed them, and that started with Rodney Stewart. He only had 56 running yards, and that was, kind of bad, but then he had 2 fumbles, one of them on a handoff from Hansen early in the game that killed the drive, caused a turnover, and then later on a punt return when he probably shouldn't have caught the ball. It was within the 10-yard line. He tried to field it, he fumbled it, it was a turnover, and it was really bad for the Buffs. But special teams was a problem all day. Their punting game was a little off. They did some rugby punts that didn't work at all. They seemed to give up big gains, and then on the kickoff return, they gave up a 90-yard run. You just can't make those mistakes.
Yeah, definitely. And, later on in the game, Braxton Miller, he really did come alive. He completed only 5 out of 13 passes for 83 yards, but he threw scoring strikes covering 32 and 17 yards to Devin Smith, and he also ran for 83 yards on 17 carries. The Buckeyes, they also scored 3 field goals, and this was helped by the great field position they had all day.
Well, the defense did their part, but they had poor field position that they were working with, and that will eventually get to you, and we saw that a lot. But they were also prone to giving up the big plays, as you mentioned. and that's going to hurt a team. You've got to be able to defend in your secondary, and the Buffs secondary has some issues. Rodney Stewart and Paul Richardson disappearing for this game, that was a huge problem, as I talked about with Stewart, but then Richardson wasn't really there after his great game the first week of the season. And the one positive for the Buffs was the emergence of Tony Clemens. He was good last year, but in this game he really seemed to come about, and Tyler Hansen needed a target. He was still good in this game. He had 238 yards, 2 touchdown passes, but if he doesn't have anyone to throw to, the Buffs aren't going to get a lot of points, and that's going to be a problem. Now, Coach Embry talked about how he talked to Ohio State's coach on Sunday night after the whole weekend was over about his team, wanted to kind of get an outside opinion. And Ohio State's coach said that the Buffs have a lot of talent and they're not living up to their potential. And I think a lot of that is penalties. The Buffs hurt themselves week after week. They take dumb penalties, they jump off sides, and they really need to get that under control if they're going to do anything.
Definitely. I hope the Buffs take that to heart, especially looking forward to our next game this Saturday against Washington State here in Boulder. Washington State, they're having a great offensive year so far. They're ranked 6th in the country offensively in total yards, and they're also ranked 3 in the country for passing yards. They had a bye week this past week, which is beneficial to them because they've had an extra week off to kind of prepare for this upcoming game, and they're coming into the game 2-1, which is good. I mean, they lost against a good standing San Diego team, but they're also coming in with 2 wins as well.
Well, this is going to be a big game for the Buffs, and this is like a new start for the Buffs. They started 0 in the Pac-12. The California game didn't count against their schedule, a weird thing, but now this is the Pac-12, and they really have to take advantage. In a weird scenario, this isn't going to happen, but if the Buffs do really well, if they win 9 of these games, if they go in 8-1, they'll go to the Pac-12 championship, have a chance to compete in a BCS Bowl. But more realistically, they just want to have a strong showing in the Pac-12 their first season, show they're not someone you can just push around, and that's really what you want to see out of the Buffs going into the Pac-12 season.
Definitely. This is going to be a really important game for the Buffs. It's arguably probably one of the easiest games for us to win, especially looking forward if you consider the caliber of the upcoming games in the Pac-12. The quarterback for Washington State, Marshall Lobestall, he's thrown almost 1,000 yards in the past 3 games for the Buffs, and he's also made 10 touchdowns. So he's probably going to be the biggest threat for us coming up in the next game. Washington State's defense, on the other hand, they're a little bit more questionable. So I think that if CU wants to get a win out of this game, they're definitely going to have to play offensively.
Well, yes, the offense and the running game. That's a big part of the offense. They haven't been able to establish that really. They've had moments, but they need to establish the running game, and that starts with getting a fast start early. They've had to come from behind in each game, and if you're coming from behind, you're always going to throw instead of go for the pass. So that's important. The special teams has to be better. You have to have good field position on your own side, and you can't give up good field position on the other side. And then the penalties that I talked about earlier. That keeps killing the Buffs, and Embry likes to be energetic. He likes a lot of enthusiasm. He likes to pump the team up, but that does not mean taking personal foul penalties.
Definitely. We'll try to avoid those coming up. That's all the time we have today. We're for Audie Streetman, Derek Kessinger. Let's take it back to the desk.
Thanks, guys. The Colorado football team has already taken on one Pac-12 opponent in Cal, but their first official game will come against Washington State this Saturday. That brings us to this week's trivia question. When was the last time CU played Washington State? We will have that answer coming up later on in the show.
Don't forget, we're also interactive here at Sports Mag, so get ready to go online and vote on this week's poll question. Who do you think will win the Pac-12 South this year? Your options are UCLA, USC, Arizona, Arizona State, Utah, and good old Colorado. Visit us at cusportsmag.com to cast your vote.
Opened their version of Pac-12 play against Oregon State last weekend on the road.
Obviously, and both golf teams have the potential to tear it up on the links, but one only jumped into the top 25 this week. We'll let you know which one it was.
America's toughest drug enforcement agents. Last year, she helped convict 90 drug dealers, seize several tons of crack and marijuana, and close down 10 major drug operations. She is a 68-year-old grandmother named Irma. She set up a community drug watch that is not only changing her neighborhood, but its future. There are many ways to help in your community. Call the Points of Light Foundation. Do something good. Feel something real.
Lewis and Clark, great explorers. Hi, I'm Thomas Jefferson. Would you check out the West for me? Oh, sure. And they take their keelboat up the Missouri. Oh, Buffalo. Then they built Fort Mandan. They're at 1804. Made some friends along the way. I'm Sacagawea. Through the Columbia Gorge.
There are tons of ways to help with your kids' learning. Find the really good ones on connectforkids.org.
The sweet Pacific Ocean! Yeah!
The men's golf team entered into the third annual Colorado Cup with 2 tournament wins and looked to put away the CSU Rams in this matchup. The Buffs were able to beat the Rams in both the CU Mark Simpson and the Air Force Invitationals. But this matchup was different. The Rams' Zaki Brown was able to edge the Buffs' Sebastian Heisel 3-2 as CSU was able to beat CU and claim the 6-4 win. The Buffs look to get back on track as they head to Albuquerque to compete in the New Mexico William H. Tucker Invitational. The women's golf team wasn't able to scramble back from a poor opening round at the Dick McGuire Invite. They shot a disappointing team score of 16 over par on Sunday and finished in 6th place overall. They recovered the next 2 rounds but couldn't get out of the hole they dug for themselves. Sophomore Jenny Coleman led the way for CU, finishing tied for 12th place, and senior Emily Talley came in tied for 23rd. The Buffs get back into action right away to begin the month of October in the state of Washington.
Colorado lost by a pair of goals to Oregon State in their first Pac-12 conference match of the season. Intensity was on display early as there were 3 fouls called in the opening 3 minutes of play. Oregon State would go on to commit 23 fouls to Colorado's 6, but the Beavers held the advantage in the only stat that mattered, goals. OSU won the match by a score of 2-0. The Buffaloes will return to Colorado next weekend to play their first Pac-12 games at home. CU will face Arizona on September 30th and Arizona State on October 2nd.
2 of CU's finest have been given a chance to shine on the national stage. Soccer players current Buff Amy Barksick will join former Buff star Nikki Marshall at an under-23 women's national camp team next week. U.S. head coach Pia Sundhage will be evaluating players for potential call-ups to the women's Olympic team. Barksick has been a standout for Colorado this season, leading the Buffs with 3 goals while playing every minute of every game. Marshall, who represented CU from 2006 to 2009, currently plays professionally for the Boston Breakers. She holds several school records, including most career points, goals, and game-winning goals.
Colorado fans hope that they find some home cooking this weekend. CU will be taking on Washington State while many parents and families are visiting the Boulder campus. Alexis Perry went to see what some students knew about the Buffs this weekend.
Hello. Parents are coming in from all over the country to visit their sons and daughters in honor of Family Weekend. We went on campus to ask students what they thought about family and Colorado football.
Littleton, Colorado.
I'm from Highlands Ranch, Colorado.
I'm from Colorado, so I'm only like an hour south.
New Jersey.
No, they're not. I'm actually going down there this weekend.
One of my roommates' parents are coming to town this weekend. Obviously, that'll be fun.
They're not. They don't like coming out on crowded weekends.
Normally, we like go out to eat or hang out before.
Can I guess?
See you? No.
Oof, I should know this.
No, Washington?
USC.
No.
Pac-12, Oregon.
Okay, Arizona.
Random shot, UCLA.
Thousands.
It's like 80,000 something.
50,000.
15,000.
We'll go with 55.
Yeah, 50,000.
Oh, I was close.
Good stuff. They call me Stats with Simone.
Unlike the leaves that are changing on the beautiful Boulder campus, there are some things in life that will never change, our families. Let's just hope that Colorado football can make a change and get their first win in the Pac-12 this weekend. Alexis Perry, CU Sports Mag.
Thanks a lot, Alexis. Have you guys figured out this week's trivia question yet? Well, here it is one more time. When was the last time CU played Washington State? And the answer is 2004, CU winning 20-12, oddly enough in Seattle, where the Washington Huskies play their home games.
And after the break, we're going to head to the weather desk with Alexis Perry.
Yeah, lots of stuff going on this weekend. The CU game Saturday. Hopefully she has some good weather in store.
Let's sit down for a second, okay? So Hey, Kayla, there's Mary from your class.
Hi, Mary. Hi, Kayla. Come and play.
Oh, sweetie. Why don't you go play with those kids over there?
Why?
Imagine the power of one voice. Find yours at freedomcenter.org.
Former CU student, football player, Olympian, and world champion. But most importantly, I'm a forever Buff, which means I'm part of 240,000 students and alums created by the CU Boulder Alumni Association. The University of Colorado will always be something I'm very proud to be a part of. The years that I spent going to school and playing football provided me with some of the best memories of my life. So come join me in creating lifelong CU relationships and explore the Forever Buff program.
Don't be mean. Clean your machine.
Welcome back to Sports Mag, and now we're going to head over to Alexis Perry, who has this weekend's weather report.
Yeah, take it away, Alexis. Well, apparently Alexis, she's not ready yet for the weather, but hopefully she'll be ready soon. I think, hopefully as long as the weather's good for Parents' Weekend and everyone can get a nice little tan during the Buffs game, then that's a good weekend for me, right?
Well, you said you picked your mom up last night. Are you guys going out to dinner tonight or something like that?
No.
Guys,
Well, maybe not. Well, I think we should. There's Alexis.
I'm Alexis Perry with this weekend's Sports Mag weather. We ended September off on a great note today in the upper 70s, and CU students were really taking advantage of that, being outside, staying active, tossing around that Frisbee, and soaking up as much vitamin D as they could. Let's take a look at the 4-day forecast. Today we ended with a high of 78, and it was really warm and sunny. Like I said, people were really active. Saturday and Sunday will reach up to the 80s, 83 for Saturday, 81 for Sunday. Monday we'll have a high of 78. It'll be partly cloudy though, so just beware of that. We have lows this weekend. We'll have 53, 54, 53, and 53. So if you're heading out to the Hill or Pearl Street with your families this weekend, be sure to bring that jacket. It might get a little cold in the evenings. If you plan on heading out to the the Colorado take on Washington State Cougars this weekend, kickoff is at 1:30 p.m. It'll be 80 degrees, sunny, so there's no need to bring that heavy hoodie or jacket with you. Make sure you just, lather up a sunscreen, bring your sunglasses, and stay hydrated throughout the game. If you plan on going to Green Bay this weekend to root on your Broncos, you might be wishing that you stayed in Boulder, to be honest. It is going to be 66 and partly cloudy throughout the entire day. So, if you are going out to the game, make sure you bring a jacket. It might get a little cooler. I'm Alexis Perry with this weekend's CU Sports Mag weather. Have a great weekend.
Thanks a lot, Weather. This has been CU Sports Mag.
Catch us next week.